Parasite, Gu, breeding long vitae path, starting from the love-enamored Gu. By Thousand Lakes True Person. Chapter 31, Change of weather in misty cloud city, woke up and house was gone. Xiaojinjian, who lived next door, naturally heard these sounds. Her pretty face turned bright red, and she tossed and turned, sleepless. She was furious. These men and women are relentless in their deeds, don't they know what shame is? Xiaojinjian was infuriated. She spent a whole night in meditation, calming the blood within her body. Otherwise, she felt she could no longer control her emotions and would want to join them. It's not Ji's sister's fault, it must be that despicable man. He shamelessly goes around the house shirtless all day, lacking any decency that a man should have. Xiaojinjian clenched her fists, placing all the blame on Zhou Sui. How could her sister have come to this if it weren't for this despicable man? Just thinking about Zhou Sui walking around the house with his bare, muscular arms and washboard abs, made her blush and her ears turned red. She had seen men like this before and thought nothing of it. But for some reason, after seeing Zhou Sui like this, she found it irresistibly appealing. She struggled to control her feelings, even longing to throw herself into his arms. Luckily, she had strong restraint. She just managed to suppress these feelings, or else she would have embarrassed herself in front of her sisters, losing face forever. Calm down, Xiaojinjian, it's just a man, not worth a second thought. You won't die without a man. What you're pursuing is longevity, not these carnal desires. No thoughts of men in mind, the path to cultivation is naturally divine. Xiaojinjian took a deep breath, slowly calming her restless heart. Several days passed. Although he had ascended to the Qi cultivation 5th layer, Zhou Sui still had no desire to wander around, and instead, he chose to stay home and cultivate diligently. After all, he was just a novice cultivator at the Qi cultivation stage, still at the bottom of the cultivation world. If he were to venture out recklessly, he might end up dead without knowing how. Boom! At this moment, a huge tremor resonated through Misty Cloud City. Every cultivator residing in the city could sense this immense surge of spiritual energy. Soon after, a large flying boat hovered over Misty Cloud City. Many cultivators descended from the flying boat and dispersed into the city. However, these cultivators all carried injuries and emanated a frightening aura. They seemed like ruthless killers, and it was clear that they were not to be provoked. What's happening? Seeing this, Zhou Sui instinctively felt uneasy. He began to gather information, eager to know what had happened. He quickly learned the truth from his neighbor, Zhang Cheng. That is a flying boat from the Immortal Mist sect. It's said that they have successfully excavated a route to the Cloud Mist mountain range and killed several second-stage monsters that were guarding the red gold mine. Some of these cultivators are disciples of the Immortal Mist sect, and some are members of cultivator families brought along by the section. Zhang Cheng said gravely, sharing the news he had uncovered. Successfully excavated the red gold mine vein? Isn't this a good thing? From now on, Misty Cloud City should return to its peaceful state. Why are we so troubled? Zhou Sui furrowed his brows and asked. It's not that simple. On hearing his query, Zhang Cheng sighed and explained, Lu Hongran, the city lord of Misty Cloud City, has decided to hand over the city to the Immortal Mist sect. From now on, Misty Cloud City won't be a loose cultivator city anymore, but a city under the Immortal Mist sect. What? Zhou Sui's face changed dramatically. He hadn't expected such a drastic development. Lu Hongran, the city lord of Misty Cloud City, was a cultivator in the later stages of the Foundation establishment. It was because of this advanced cultivator that Misty Cloud City has prospered for over 100 years. But now, he was giving up the city to the Immortal Mist sect, tantamount to handing over his life's work to them. It's insane. There must be some secretive deal involved. Of course, he didn't care why the city was being handed over. After all, it was none of his business. What he was more concerned about was what big moves the Immortal Mist sect would make after taking over Misty Cloud City. This was what concerned him as a bottom-tier cultivator. When a new emperor ascends the throne, new officials are appointed. After the Immortal Mist sect takes over Misty Cloud City, the rules will change completely. Zhang Cheng spoke somberly. First, the houses we bought in Misty Cloud City will be voided. We will lose ownership of our houses. All cultivators entering Misty Cloud City will only be able to rent houses here and have to pay high rent each month. Otherwise, we'll be expelled from the city. How could this happen? We bought the houses in Misty Cloud City and have lifelong rights to them. Now the Immortal Mist sect just wants to take away our houses with a single sentence. Zhou Sui clenched his fist. Although he knew that changes would occur once the Immortal Mist sect took over Misty Cloud City, he never imagined losing his house overnight. Everything was taken away. Ha, we're weaker, they're powerful. Even if they take away our houses, we can't say anything. We have no power to resist. Zhang Cheng felt helpless, as the Immortal Mist sect was too mighty. The rules were set by them, and other cultivators could only obey. They didn't dare to resist. Hearing this, Zhou Sui felt a sinking feeling in his heart. The reason cultivators generally avoid buying houses is that too many uncertainties come with them. If a powerful group collapses and another takes its place, the original contracts become null and void. The present regime doesn't honor the contracts of the past. So, most cultivators choose to rent houses. This way, regardless of how the forces change, they won't be hurt fundamentally and won't lose everything. Zhou Sui's parents were lucky. They bought a house in Misty Cloud City at a low price, and the city remained stable for 100 years without any changes in power. But now things were different. City Lord Liu Hongran stepped down, the Immortal Mist sect took over, the rule changed. And that meant the ownership of his house was voided and no longer recognized by the Immortal Mist sect. What do we do now? Zhou Sui asked. There are only two ways now. The first is to obediently pay the rent and obtain the right to live in Misty Cloud City. The second is to leave Misty Cloud City and seek a living elsewhere. Zhang Cheng stated that there were currently only two options. In reality, there was only one choice. After all, life might not be better, or could even be worse in other places. They might face even more ruthless exploitation. Compared to that, their current situation in Misty Cloud City wasn't so bad. Chapter 32, Cutting Loose Cultivators' Chives, the Domineering Immortal Mist Sect. After receiving this news, Zhou Sui returned home with a heavy heart. At this moment, Ji Binjiu, Mu Ziyi, and Xia Jinjian had also returned from outside where they had been gathering information. After all, they were all late Qi cultivation cultivators, and possessed connections to higher circles. Husband, it's true that the situation is a tad tricky. Misty Cloud City has completely changed hands, with the Immortal Mist sect deciding to settle there. The original city lord, Liu Hongran, is nearing the end of his life. For the sake of his descendants, he had no choice but to affiliate himself with the Immortal Mist sect, becoming a guest elder there. Ji Binjiu shared the information she had gathered. Upon hearing this, Zhou Sui immediately understood why Liu Hongran had decided to do so. The latter basically had no hope of achieving the Golden Core stage, and his lifespan was also nearing its end. The problem was that after his death, without self-protection, the Liu family would inevitably become a target for surrounding cultivators, and get devoured like prey by a pack of wolves. If they wanted to preserve the Liu family, they had to find a powerful backer. Within thousands of miles, who could be bigger than the Immortal Mist sect? The Immortal Mist sect also wanted to exploit the Misty Mountain Range, with the focus on mining the red gold mine and spirit stone veins, making Misty Cloud City one of the most important footholds. The cooperation between the two parties was a perfect match. This also explained why Liu Hongran chose to give up Misty Cloud City. So, does it mean that the Immortal Mist sect wants to reclaim all property rights in the city? Zhou Sui clenched his fists. Correct. Ji Binjiu nodded. The Immortal Mist sect does not recognize any of the previous property rights. Whether it's a house or a shop, they all have to be rented from the Immortal Mist sect. Furthermore, rumoredly the Immortal Mist sect plans to significantly raise the rent. For example, the house we're currently living in, will have to pay at least 200 lower-grade spiritual stones each month. What? Zhou Sui's face changed at the news. 200 lower-grade spiritual stones was downright robbery. An average cultivator might not even earn that many spiritual stones in a year. If they really choose to live within the city, they would essentially become wage slaves for the Immortal Mist sect, stripping away any hope of making profits. How could the rent be so outrageous? Is the Immortal Mist sect trying to drive away loose cultivators? Zhou Sui furrowed his brows. No, the Immortal Mist sect wouldn't be so foolish. In fact, they want to force loose cultivators to mine for them. Ji Binjiu explained, even though the Immortal Mist sect had dug a path to the red gold mine, mining its minerals still requires a large labor force. The problem is that long-term exposure to the red gold mine causes cultivators to be corroded by the essence of red gold, making foundation establishment impossible, not to mention reducing lifespan. How would the disciples of the Immortal Mist sect be willing to accept such a reality? However, they couldn't not mine either. So, the Immortal Mist sect set their eyes on us, hoping that we would enter the red gold mine to mine. They are offering a salary of 100 lower grade spiritual stones each month, and each laborer can live in the city for free without having to pay any rent. The Immortal Mist sect are certainly ruthless. But aren't they afraid to scare all loose cultivators away? Zhou Sui gripped his fists tightly, his eyes filled with depth. Obviously, this was the Immortal Mist sect's scheme, using high rents to force loose cultivators into mining for them. If they didn't wish to mine, they would have to leave Misty Cloud City and head elsewhere. They're not concerned about that at all. There are simply too many loose cultivators in the world. Ji Binjaihu shook her head. Rumors are, loose cultivators from other places have heard about what's happening in Misty Cloud City and are rushing over. The Immortal Mist sect even dispatched flying boats to help them quickly reach here for free. At least tens of thousands of cultivators arrived in the first batch, with one wave after another continuously pouring in. Whether we loose cultivators remain or leave doesn't matter to the Immortal Mist sect at all. The number of loose cultivators they can recruit is incredibly vast, and they're far from being short of hands. What? Zhou Sui's mouth twitched. He had nothing to say. No wonder the Immortal Mist sect was so fearless, unafraid of a rebellion from the loose cultivators. It was simply because there were too many loose cultivators, an inexhaustible supply. They were like constant harvests of leeks, one batch after another. People's lives in this world were worthless. This was a crueler perspective of the world that he had yet to comprehend deeply. Husband, what should we do now? Musei couldn't help but ask. We have to bow our heads under eaves, and pay the spiritual stones. We can't really leave the Misty City. Zhou Sui clenched his fists. Honestly, the circumstances outside Misty Cloud City wouldn't necessarily be better. It also lacked the resources Misty Cloud City had. Moreover, living inside the city was far better than living outside, without worrying about attacks by other loose cultivators. There was a certain degree of safety assurance. Though the monthly rent of 200 lower-grade spiritual stones was indeed pricey, he wasn't unable to afford it. By selling spiritual wine over the past half-year, he had essentially earned 120,000 lower-grade spiritual stones, the equivalent of 1,200 middle-grade spiritual stones. He could earn 20,000 lower-grade spiritual stones each month. After all, one middle-grade spiritual stone is equivalent to 100 lower-grade spiritual stones. So, to him, such a rent was affordable. Indeed, if more loose cultivators come to Misty Cloud City, our spiritual wine business could expand further, allowing us to earn even more spiritual stones. Ji Binjaihu agreed as well. Although the rent in Misty Cloud City had risen significantly, they currently could comfortably afford it. Furthermore, the gathering of large numbers of loose cultivators would bring a wealth of cultivation resources and abundant spiritual stones. Viewed from this perspective, there weren't entirely downsides. The following morning, the moment Zhou Sui woke up, he heard a deep voice echoing through the streets and alleys. I am Fan Zi, a steward from the Immortal Mist sect. Starting from today, Misty Cloud City has a new master, and will be overseen by our Immortal Mist sect. All previous contracts signed with the Lu family are invalidated, and new ones will have to be made. Whether you rented or bought your houses before, they do not belong to you now. All cultivators residing within houses must come out, register, and pay their rent. Each house must pay 2 middle-grade spiritual stones per month. If you don't register by today, you will be evicted from your houses by tomorrow. Don't say I did not warn you in due time. Clatter. The moment the words fell, doors to buildings on the street flung open. One by one, cultivators walked out with grim looks on their faces. Zhou Sui also came out from his house and immediately saw a middle-aged cultivator dressed in the attire of the Immortal Mist sect. That man was Fan Zi, a Cultivation 8 level cultivator. Additionally, a group of patrol cultivators stood beside him, at least all of them were Qi Cultivation level 7. After all, to become a patrol officer in Misty Cloud City, one had to be at least at the Qi Cultivation level 7. If their cultivation was too low, they couldn't suppress disturbances and would not be respected by other loose cultivators. However, this team of patrols was enough to silence all present loose cultivators. Chapter 33, The Market Outside the City for Loose Cultivators, The Helplessness of Loose Cultivators. After a moment, Fan Zi, the executive of the Immortal Mist sect, upon seeing cultivators from each house come out, was quite pleased. If you wish to continue living in your current houses, proceed to the Executive Hall in Misty Cloud City to register and pay your rent in order to acquire housing rights. Of course, if you don't have this many spirit stones, you could become miners for our Immortal Mist sect. At that time, you will be able to live in Misty Cloud City for free, and even receive a monthly salary of 1 middle grade spirit stone. If you don't wish to become miners, our Immortal Mist sect has some spiritual fields that need to be cultivated as well, requiring a large number of farmers. You can join us, but the salary is somewhat lower at only 10 lower grade spirit stones per month. He briefly mentioned the current employment situation of the Immortal Mist sect. After speaking, the executive, followed by a group of patrolling guards, continued towards the next alleyway. It was only after these people left that the surrounding cultivators dared to voice out. It's too cruel, 2 middle grade spirit stones per month, and this is our bought property. To simply claim to repossess without any reason is really too domineering. Zhang Cheng clenched his fists, completely dissatisfied. With the property confiscated, it was equal to losing thousands of spirit stones, and nobody can handle such a loss. However, he really could not afford to offend the Immortal Mist sect. Exactly. Such a large sect, yet they still compete with us loose cultivators. It's too shameless. Sigh, I heard that the Immortal Mist sect, in order to exploit the mineral veins in the Misty Mountain range, has suffered heavy losses, even losing 2 foundation establishment cultivators. So, they want to recover this loss from us loose cultivators. A twig cannot outcompete the thigh. Should we really go to the extent of fighting the Immortal Mist sect to death? Yet, the rent has doubled and is too expensive for us to afford. Exactly. If we were to actually pay the rent, we'd be left with nothing. Where would we even find the resources to cultivate? Why not we just work as miners? It includes meal and residence with a monthly salary. The working conditions seem to be pretty good. Good for what? It's all plans by the Immortal Mist sect, intentionally increasing the house prices, just to force us to mine. Indeed, if mining truly is a good job, those disciples of the Immortal Mist sect would have already done it. How would it be our turn? If we stay too long around the red gold mine, our bodies would be corroded by the red gold chi, damaging our meridians and organs, leaving us without hope of reaching the foundation establishment stage. Such a malicious Immortal Mist sect, blatantly treating us loose cultivators as expendable resources. The gathered cultivators clenched their fists. They were not idiots. They could clearly see the motives of the Immortal Mist sect, which clearly wanted to force them to become miners, exploiting the mines for the Immortal Mist sect, to serve as their manual labor. Though their talents weren't extraordinary, each of them harbored dreams of cultivating for longevity and reaching the foundation establishment stage. This was the ambition of all loose cultivators. But now, the Immortal Mist sect wanted to strip even this bit of hope from them. If that's the case, what should we do? We can't just leave Misty Cloud City. To be honest, I won't leave. Loose cultivator cities other than this aren't any better. Exactly, as compared, Misty Cloud City is still alright. At least there's food, drink, and copious resources. If we leave for other places, we'll have an even harder time surviving. In that case, we might as well move outside the city. I've heard numerous loose cultivators forming alliances, intending to set up a market outside the city. As long as we loose cultivators stick together, we should be able to survive in the Misty Mountain range just as well. Moreover, rent outside is much cheaper, needing only 1 lower grade spirit stone. 1 lower grade spirit stone? Isn't that almost the same as living for free? If such a place exists, only a fool would choose to live in Misty Cloud City. You can't say that. The market outside can't compare with Misty Cloud City. At least the city has guards for protection, and those robbers wouldn't dare to act recklessly within the city. Safety is guaranteed. Yeah, there's no regulation outside. Robbers could act anytime, you could die without knowing how. Yeah, who doesn't know that living within the city is safer? The question is, can you afford it? 2 middle grade spirit stones per month, with that many spirit stones, I'd rather buy pills to increase my cultivation. Exactly, Misty Cloud City might be big, but it no longer has a place for us. Now, Misty Cloud City is no longer the loose cultivator city of the past, one can't even afford to live in the sewer. The loose cultivators actively discussed the situation, feeling helpless. Some impoverished cultivators began to pack, preparing to live in the markets for loose cultivators outside the city. After all, the prices outside are considerably cheaper, the city's prices were simply too high. At this time, Zhou Sui saw some familiar neighboring cultivators begin to pack, one after another leaving Misty Cloud City. Because they simply didn't possess enough spirit stones, they also couldn't afford to pay the high rent. They could only live in the loose cultivator markets outside the city. After all, most cultivators lived from hand to mouth, usually spending any spirit stones they had on buying pills to increase their cultivation. However, Zhou Sui was not in the same dire situation. He had plenty of spirit stones. And so, he proceeded to Misty Cloud City's executive hall, paying half a year of rent, at the cost of 12 middle-grade spirit stones. Damned immortal mist sect, sooner or later, you'll pay the price. Zhou Sui clenched his fists, gnashing his teeth. Being arbitrarily robbed of his house while still having to pay high rent, no one would accommodate such outrage. If he were to buy a house in the future, then he would indeed be a fool. In this world, the ownership of houses was not guaranteed. However, he was not a rash person, and could not rashly confront the immortal mist sect. After all, this was the Golden Core sect. But he had remembered this injustice well. Once he achieved great cultivation, there would be a day when he would reciprocate. But for now, he can only temporarily endure it. After all, his cultivation was only at the Qi cultivation 5th layer and was not yet up to Par. Uncle Zhang, where do you plan to go? Upon returning home, Zhou Sui immediately noticed his neighbor, Zhang Cheng, seemed to be packing his luggage. Sigh, I plan to work as a miner. I'm afraid I'll be departing soon. Zhang Cheng said helplessly. A miner. Hearing this, Zhou Sui was taken aback, but Uncle Zhang, aren't you a pill master? You shouldn't need to work as a miner. Moreover, staying long-term in the red gold mine, you'd probably lose any hope of reaching the foundation establishment phase in this lifetime. He never expected Zhang Cheng would choose this path. I have no choice. Although I am a first-grade alchemist, I am just a mid-first grade level, capable of creating ordinary pills at most. I've exhausted all my family fortune in alchemy, and simply can't afford the rent here. Zhang Cheng was utterly dejected, and the market outside for loose cultivators is very dangerous. If I, the pill master, go to that loose cultivator market, I will definitely be taken for an easy target. After weighing my options, I might as well join the Immortal Mist sect as a miner. This way, I can live in Misty Cloud City for free and receive quite a hefty monthly income. Certainly, there will be side effects of the red gold chi entering my body, but that is still better than being killed by the robbers. Moreover, it's not that there's no way to resolve these side effects, it just requires more spirit stones. In reality, not only did I make this choice, a lot of our neighbors also chose to become miners and signed contracts with the Immortal Mist sect to mine for them. It's a pretty good way out too. After finishing these thoughts, he sighed, resigned to his fate. That's the helplessness of being a loose cultivator. He too, wished not to be exploited by the Immortal Mist sect, but reality was pressing against him. Chapter 34 The Mystery of the Three Stages of Foundation Establishment. In the blink of an eye, several days passed. During these days, Misty Cloud City underwent considerable changes. Numerous cultivators who couldn't afford the rent moved out to live in the loose cultivators market, leaving many empty houses behind. However, a large number of foreign cultivators moved in, all of whom were in the late stage of Qi cultivation. After all, only cultivators in the late stage of Qi cultivation could afford such high rents. As people came and went, Misty Cloud City only became busier. At the same time, it became more chaotic. Because these were all foreign cultivators, they were used to being domineering outside, even as the Immortal Mist sect failed to manage the city properly, leading to frequent fights among cultivators in the city, resulting in bloody incidents. Sir, it is said that several cultivators of the Qi cultivation 7th layer died on the main road yesterday. Ji Binjaihu shared the news she had gathered. What happened? Zhou Sui asked curiously. It seems it was all over a bottle of pills. Ji Binjaihu said, due to insufficient stock at the pill medicine pavilion, only a single bottle of yellow dragon pill was left. As a result, cultivators from both sides who wanted it starting fighting over it, resulting in the death of several cultivators. Eventually, a patrol team intervened and stopped the fight, otherwise, more people would have died. What? Upon hearing this, Zhou Sui was speechless. Just over a bottle of pills, they paid the price of their lives. These people were way too impulsive. He realized how chaotic misty Cloud City had become during this period. Most likely, the city would be unable to restore its former calm for quite some time. Of course, the truth isn't that simple. In reality, these two factions already held grudges against each other for a long time. They're said to belong to two major cultivator families, and have harbored a feud for many years, Musei explained. Even though they were brought to Misty Cloud City by the Immortal Mist sect, they didn't let go of their grudges. Rather, the exploration of the Misty Mountain Range amplified their conflicts. While it seems they started fighting over a bottle of pills on the surface, this was just the trigger. Even without this, other issues would have sparked a conflict. Cultivator families. Zhou Sui narrowed his eyes in thought. Indeed, to explore the Misty Mountain Range, the Immortal Mist sect had summoned many cultivator families from various places. These cultivator families harbored conflicts with each other. Now, they found themselves in Misty Mountain Range, a place devoid of any rules. Even if one died here, there would be no legal recourse. Thus, the internal fighting among them intensified. However, when immortals fight, innocent bystanders suffer. The battles between these cultivator families would also affect ordinary loose cultivators. Zhou Sui was helplessly aware of the fate of the weak. The battles between the powerful, even if only the aftermath, yielded devastating losses for him. Only by becoming powerful could one comfortably survive in the world of cultivation. Do you have a way to purchase a foundation pill in advance to become a foundation establishment cultivator? Zhou Sui asked. If Ji Binjiao could become a foundation establishment cultivator, her strength would significantly increase by more than tenfold, and they would not have to worry about these upheavals. A single great cultivator in the foundation establishment realm could establish a family that would last 100 years. Even within the Immortal Mist sect, they could become guest elders, a high-ranking and influential position. Therefore, if Ji Binjiao could naturally progress to become a foundation establishment cultivator, then such turbulence would be easily resolved. Sir, there are 3 major hurdles to foundation establishment, Ji Binjiao said solemnly. The first one is the Qi and Blood hurdle. When a cultivator advances to the Qi cultivation 9th layer, their Qi and Blood must be complete and their body flawless to attempt advancement, otherwise, they are bound to fail. Why does the success rate of foundation establishment drastically decline after one turns 60? This is because after 60, the Qi and Blood in a person's body rapidly decline, which could cause foundation establishment to fail. The second hurdle is the Mana hurdle. A cultivator practicing Qi refines true Yuan within their body. When they reach the Qi cultivation 9th layer, true Yuan must be complete in order to progress to a state where it condenses into essence and transforms into Mana. If cultivators practices an inferior cultivation technique, it results in poor quality true Yuan, or if the true Yuan is not substantial enough, it would cause it to be incomplete, and thus, it cannot be transformed into Mana. This too could cause failure. The third hurdle is divine sense. You should know that ordinary Qi refiners possess spiritual sense. However, the spiritual sense only works internally, or for unlocking storage bags, browsing heritage jade records etc., and it cannot be deployed externally. But to advance to become a foundation establishment cultivator, one must transform the spiritual sense, evolving it to the level of the foundation establishment divine sense. With this, divine sense can be projected outwards to scan dozens of feet around, naturally leading to an astonishing increase in combat effectiveness. To successfully establish the foundation, the 3 hurdles must be complete, otherwise, failure is inevitable. Having said this, she paused and looked at Zhou Sui, her pretty face flushing crimson. Among them, the third hurdle is the most difficult. That's because improving one's spiritual sense requires a top-tier soul cultivation technique. Such techniques are rare and only available to top-tier sects. Ordinary cultivator families wouldn't have any. As for the spirit objects that enhance spiritual sense, they are priceless. Even cultivators at the foundation establishment stage would desire them, let alone Qi cultivators. However, because of my dual cultivation with you, my spiritual sense has grown continuously to the level of the foundation establishment divine sense. I am now able to project my spiritual sense several feet outward, so I've passed the third hurdle. She recalled the scenes of dual cultivation with Zhou Sui. Her face reddened nearly to her ears, but the sensual details were not to be shared with others. Indeed, I also find my spiritual sense growing rapidly. I reckon that if I continue this cultivation for another year, I'll also be able to reach the level of foundation establishment divine sense and pass the third hurdle, Musei agreed, nodding. She too, shared a similar feeling. Especially when being intimate with Zhou Sui, her spiritual sense was growing rather quickly. This practice was far more effective than consuming any spirit object meant for increasing spiritual sense. As a result, she managed to advance her cultivation level to the Qi cultivation 8th layer within a short time. What? Xiaojinjian was astounded when she heard this. Even though she had heard that dual cultivation could benefit both men and women, she hadn't realized that the benefits could be so great. The reason why many Qi refiners fail to establish their foundation is often due to the third hurdle. After all, for the first two hurdles, various spiritual medicines could be taken as supplements, while the third hurdle was difficult to supplement or improve. Does that imply if she were to dual cultivate with Zhou Sui, she could hope of successfully establishing her foundation as well? But if she surrendered herself to this man, wouldn't this mean that this shameless young man would have 3 beauties to himself, leading a polygamous life? But if it's for the sake of establishing the foundation and the Grand Dao, making this small sacrifice isn't out of the question. She could feel her heart thumping wildly, as if she was in a fierce battle within her sea of consciousness, trying to find all sorts of excuses to convince herself. Chapter 35, The Legacy of the Pill Master, 4 Arts of Cultivation. So, you're saying that the reason you haven't been able to advance to the foundation establishment realm yet is because you can't cross the previous 2 hurdles. Zhou Sui stroked his chin, quickly understanding what his Dao companion had said. Yes. Ji Binjiu nodded, although I'm now a cultivator at the Qi cultivation 9th layer, I've only advanced to this realm for a year or 2, and I'm still some distance from reaching the peak of this realm. I am still quite young, in my 30s, and my vitality is still exceptionally robust. However, because my cultivation time is still short, the power of true Yuan within me has not yet reached its peak. I need at least another year or 2 before I can try to establish a foundation. She stated that she would need at least 2 more years to prepare. 2 years, huh? Does this mean that now you can start considering the foundation pill? Zhou Sui asked. It's something to consider, but the quantity of foundation pills is scarce, they're all controlled by those major sects. I've previously been to the auction at Misty Cloud City, but there were no foundation pills for sale. Ji Binjiu was also helpless. Because the sects monopolize the foundation pills, any loose cultivator wanting a foundation pill must concede to the unjust terms of the sects and work for them. Otherwise, they have to wait for an auction where 1 or 2 foundation pills might be released. Therefore, whenever a foundation pill appears at an auction, it always incites a frenzy among families of cultivators. Each auction results in exorbitant prices, which loose cultivators simply cannot afford. In that case, why not refine your own foundation pill? Zhou Sui narrowed his eyes. It's always better to rely on oneself than on others. Waiting for those sects to release foundation pills, who knows when that will happen? He didn't want his life and death to be controlled by his enemies. He would rather refine the foundation pills himself than wait for others to make them. My dear, making pills is not as simple as it seems. Muzei said helplessly, pill artifacts, formation inscriptions, these are the 4 great skills in the cultivation world. Of these, the skill of pill making ranks first. Not only because it's the most valuable, but also because it's the most challenging. Of course, in terms of difficulty, formation inscriptions rank the highest. The problem is formation inscriptions don't require many resources, if one has enough comprehension, they can learn it. However, pills are different, it requires the consumption of a significant amount of spiritual medicine to forge a top-notch pill master. The problem is, where would loose cultivators get so many spirit stones to buy spiritual medicines? A batch of spiritual medicine is enough to bankrupt a pill master. If it's not a major sect, they wouldn't be able to nurture a pill master. Moreover, if you want to refine a foundation pill, at least a second-stage alchemist is needed, even a first-grade alchemist might not qualify. This has led to the extreme rarity of the foundation pill, they are few and far between. She implied that becoming a pill master was incredibly challenging, beyond imagination. Every pill master was made through a large investment of capital, virtually like a walking vein of spirit stones. It's fine, we have quite a few spirit stones now, there's not much use keeping them here. It's better to use them to buy spiritual medicines and refine the pills. Zhou Sui clenched his fist. If he solely relied on his aptitude, he wouldn't dare to dream of becoming a pill master. However, it'd be different with the power of the bookworm. As long as he can get a pill master's lineage and devour enough pill master secrets, becoming a second-stage alchemist wouldn't be a problem. By then, he wouldn't need to attend auctions to buy foundation pills, relying solely on himself, he could refine the foundation pills. At that time, he wouldn't need to ask others for help. I believe in your capabilities, my dear. You will definitely become a pill master. Ji Binjiao looked at Zhou Sui with affection in her eyes, she believed her husband could achieve anything. My sister has gone mad. Watching this, Xia Jinjian twitched her lips. She believed her sister was madly in love and believed everything anyone said. Yet somehow, deep down, she also believed this man in front of her could achieve anything. A month quickly passed. Misty Cloud City gradually quieted down. After all, Misty Cloud City was now considered the territory of the Immortal Mist sect. They couldn't allow the city to continue being in chaos as it would not benefit anyone. So, the patrol forcefully suppressed it, catching all the rebellious cultivators and throwing them into prison. Those without any background were executed. After this crushing wave of suppression, hardly any cultivators in the city dared to make trouble. Many loose cultivators saw this and felt relieved, daring to go out and stroll around. Gradually, the streets regained some of its liveliness. After a month of dedicated cultivation, practicing dual cultivation with his 2 Dao companions 7 times every day until they lost all sense of self, Zhou Sui's cultivation advanced by leaps and bounds. Host, Zhou Sui, Cultivation, Qi Cultivation 5th Layer, Progress 25%, Age, 19, 120. Aptitude, 8-stage Spiritual Root, 65%. Swordsmanship, 1st Grade Superior, 45%. Rune, Mid 1st Grade, 55%. Phantasma Transformation Skill, Proficient, 35%. Fireball Technique, Minor Accomplishment, 15%, Wind Blade Art, Beginner, Golden Light Skill, Beginner, Ice Frost Skill, Beginner, Spring Wind Rain Skill, Beginner. Looking at this data panel, Zhou Sui felt a wave of satisfaction. If he continued at this pace, it would take less than a year to break through to the Qi Cultivation 6th layer. Honestly, this kind of progress was nothing short of remarkable. For an ordinary cultivator relying on his own efforts, it would take 4 to 5 years, or even a decade, to break through to the Qi Cultivation 6th layer. His swift progress could be attributed not only to the dual cultivation with his Dao companions, but also to the daily consumption of spiritual wine. The spiritual energy provided by the spiritual wine allowed his cultivation to soar. Of course, the skill that improved the most was the fireball technique. With his devoted practice, it had already reached the stage of minor accomplishment. Its power had at least doubled compared to before. Boom! With this thought, Zhou Sui moved with his thoughts, circulating the power of his true yuan within his body, instantly condensing a highly compressed, red fireball which he hurled towards the distance. Instantly, a large rock in the courtyard was blown to pieces, a shocking, deep crater appeared on the ground, and the surrounding air was burning with intense heat. This strike's might was almost comparable to a full-force attack from a Qi Cultivation 6th layer cultivator. It could seriously harm a Qi Cultivation 7th layer cultivator, which was extremely terrifying. He could launch dozens of such fireballs at once, equivalent to a bombardment of artillery. A regular Qi Cultivation 5th layer cultivator would probably only be able to use the fireball technique 4 or 5 times. After that, they would be completely drained of their true yuan. However, Zhou Sui was different. After cultivating the Insect God Sutra, each insect within him was equivalent to a Danshan Qi Si. The 5 insects within him were equal to 5 Danshan Qi Sis. Therefore, the power of the true yuan within him was 6 times that of cultivators of the same level. If cultivators of the same level were to fight him, they would most likely be killed by his fireball technique in one strike, turning into ashes. Chapter 36, The Alchemy Heritage of a First-Class Pill Master, the Treasure Pavilion of the Lu Family. Very good. Zhou Sui was quite satisfied. The beginner-level fireball technique wasn't a big deal, its speed was slow, its power was small, at most it could char tree bark, even a martial arts expert could easily dodge it. The skill level of the fireball technique was a bit faster, its power had also increased, but again, it wasn't substantial, an average Qi refiner's protective art could easily withstand it. However, a proficient fireball technique was different. When it reached this level, it could break through an enemy's protective art, and the speed was twice as fast. Even a Qi refiner would find it difficult to evade it. If the fireball technique reached a minor accomplishment level, it would be far more terrifying, its speed was comparable to a bullet, and its power had increased several times. A hit could instantly shatter a protective art, turning the enemy's body into ashes. But, for an average chi refiner to train the fireball technique to a minor accomplishment level without 5 or 6 decades would be impossible. But, with the power of the bookworm, he managed to elevate the fireball technique to a minor accomplishment level in a short time. Indeed, this is a true cultivator, relying on skills to attack from a distance. Close combat with the enemy? It's just recklessness. Zhou Sui clenched his fist, clearly excited. He felt he had an additional attack skill. If he encountered an enemy, he could definitely make the enemy drink a pot and recognize the power of his fireball technique. Master, it seems we don't have any spirit meat left at home, and not much spirit rice either. At this time, Ji Binjio came over, indicating that after eating for more than a month, the house had run out of rice and they needed to buy more. Really? I'll go and buy it. Zhou Sui raised his eyebrows. He also intended to buy an alchemy heritage because he indeed wanted to become an alchemist. In the future, if he wanted to advance to the foundation establishment realm, he wouldn't have to rely on other people's foundation pills. If he could refine the foundation pills himself, why bother risking at an auction to get them? To be honest, he had heard many similar stories. Even if someone got the foundation pill at the auction, they were killed on the way back. You can afford to buy the foundation pill with money, but it's uncertain whether you have enough life to consume it. Since this was the case, it was better to refine it himself. The moment of success, others wouldn't know he had a foundation pill, and he could quietly become a foundation establishment cultivator. But master, although it has calmed down a lot outside, there are still undercurrents. Your cultivation is too low, and it's very dangerous to go out. I'd better go. Ji Binjio was very worried. Did you forget? I have learned the avatar skill, let my clone go out, my real body can stay at home, there's no danger. Zhou Sui gave a slight smile. Oh right, I almost forgot that master had an avatar skill. If it's the avatar out and about, it should be utterly safe. Ji Binjio was satisfied with this plan, nodding. She remembered that her master had an avatar skill, which allowed him to stray through Misty Cloud City freely using his clone. Even if it encountered danger, only the clone would die, and the real body would be safe and sound. Since the occurrence of the clone, Zhou Sui had been the one to buy the rice for the house. They only needed to cultivate at home, never needing to go out and take risks. After a short time, Zhou Sui created a clone who quietly left the house without anyone noticing. At the same time, this clone also used the phantasma transformation skill to change into a man with a full beard, tall stature, and his aura also changed. This way, no matter what happened, the clone would not be linked to himself. As soon as he arrived on the streets of Misty Cloud City, he sensed a murderous atmosphere. Many unfamiliar cultivators appeared around him, seemingly watching pedestrians with ill intentions. This made it feel like he had entered a den of thieves. You're kidding, wasn't Misty Cloud City supposed to have stabilized? Zhou Sui squinted his eyes. With his strong divine sense, he could feel the malicious intent from the cultivators around him. They were like restrained beasts, their fangs ready to be revealed at any moment. However, perhaps because it was broad daylight and there was the threat of the patrol guards, these unfamiliar cultivators did not dare to act. Clearly, the immortal mist sex purging action this month had a certain deterrent effect on these lawless cultivators. The whole journey was eventful but unthreatening. First, Zhou Sui went to a food store and a butcher's shop in Misty Cloud City and bought half a year's supply of spirit rice and meat. He planned not to go out for at least half a year. After all, who knows how bad the environment in Misty Cloud City will become in the upcoming days. After buying all these supplies, he arrived at the treasure pavilion. This was the largest shop in Misty Cloud City, selling all kinds of magic artifacts, elixirs, spiritual medicine, as well as secret techniques of cultivation, just like a department store. It was rumored that the Lu family, who controlled Misty Cloud City, were the owners of the treasure pavilion. Thinking about it, it was quite normal. As the family in control of Misty Cloud City, they would naturally run a few highly profitable shops, and the treasure pavilion was one of the Lu family's businesses. He chose the treasure pavilion because it had a good reputation. Since its opening, no scandals have occurred, and many loose cultivators buy various treasures from the treasure pavilion. Thus, Zhou Sui came here to buy an alchemy heritage. Sir, what are you looking to buy? As soon as he entered the treasure pavilion, an elder dressed in black spun around, his eyes lighting up as he looked at Zhou Sui. He was Lu Ming, the manager of the Treasure Pavilion and one of the elders of the Lu family, in charge of managing the Treasure Pavilion's transactions. He had keen eyes and immediately knew this customer must be wealthy. "Do you have an alchemist's heritage?" Zhou Sui asked, skipping superfluous talk. "Alchemy heritage." Upon hearing this, the manager's eyes lit up even more. "We at the Treasure Pavilion do have a complete lower-grade alchemist's heritage, but the price is quite steep." "A lower-grade alchemist's heritage? Does heritage have different grades?" Zhou Sui raised his eyebrows. "Of course, it seems you're not very familiar with the occupation of alchemist." Lu Ming, the manager, smiled briefly. "A lower-grade alchemist's heritage can only make a cultivator into a first-stage alchemist, but a heritage that is second stage or above can make a cultivator into a second-stage alchemist. The problem is that such a precious heritage, only a sect like the Immortal Mist sect can have it. Small shops like us will not have it. Even if we did, other cultivators could not afford it, so of course we would not sell it. On the other hand, the lower-grade alchemist's heritage is widely circulated, and many alchemists have it. Therefore, the confidentiality is not so strict. Still, even so, the price is not low, it requires at least 5,000 lower-grade spirit stones." He mentioned a number. Chapter 37, Gold Digging Profession, the Lu family's greed. 5,000 lower-grade spiritual stones. Upon hearing this, Zhou Sui furrowed his brows. Truthfully, this was a bit expensive for a widely disseminated alchemy heritage. Normally, one could buy a piece for around 3 or 4,000 lower-grade spiritual stones. After all, not every cultivator can become a pill master, so sometimes there is difficulty in selling such inheritance. However, he had no other channels to obtain alchemy heritage. Even though the price was a bit steep, he had no choice but to accept it. At this time, manager Lu Ming seemed to see Zhou Sui's hesitation and said, "Perhaps you think this heritage is expensive, but the first-grade alchemy heritage at my treasure pavilion is absolutely the most perfect. It is worth every spiritual stone. If you buy it elsewhere, the price might be a little cheaper, but many parts would be missing." "Oh, is that how it is? Bring it over for me to see. If it truly is as you say, then I will buy it." Zhou Sui raised an eyebrow. "Rest assured. Our treasure pavilion has a great reputation in Misty Cloud City, we would never deceive a fellow deist." Manager Lu Ming patted his chest, immediately ordering his subordinate to bring over a jade slip. Zhou Sui picked it up, using his spiritual sense to conduct a preliminary inspection. He discovered that he could only see part of the content. The majority of it was concealed by seals, probably put in place by the treasure pavilion to prevent others from stealing the contents of the jade slip, thereby obtaining the inheritance for free. That would mean a huge loss for the treasure pavilion. However, just as the other party said, this pill master inheritance was incredibly complete. Even though he had never come into contact with alchemy heritage before, he understood this clearly. "It seems that you did not deceive me. Since that's the case, I will take the first-grade alchemy inheritance." Zhou Sui didn't hesitate and said straightforwardly. "Haha, Dao friend is truly straightforward. I presume you want the alchemy heritage because you wish to pursue this path of alchemy. In that case, if you want to refine pills, you will need a magic artifact, a pill furnace. It only costs 3,000 lower-grade spiritual stones. Apart from the pill furnace, our little shop also has many pill formulas. The prices are low and we can sell them to you. If the deist friend wants to practice, you may also buy some spiritual medicine from our shop." Manager Lu Ming suggested with a smile. "What?" Upon hearing this, Zhou Sui's face turned green. He now understood why there were so few pill masters in Misty Cloud City. It's not an exaggeration to say they were rare. He hadn't even started yet and he already had to spend more than 10,000 lower-grade spiritual stones. If it weren't for the wealthy cultivators, who could afford to embark on the path of a pill master? Perhaps before they even started, ordinary cultivators would have already used up all their resources. No wonder among the 4 great cultivator skills of pills, talismans, arrays, and tools, being a pill master ranked first. It was purely a career where one had to spend heavily. It was outrageous. But since he had chosen this path, he could do nothing but march on, however reluctantly. So Zhou Sui spent 12,000 lower-grade spiritual stones to buy a first-grade magic artifact pill furnace, a first-grade pill master inheritance, 5 spiritual medicines, and more than 10 ordinary pill formulas. Fortunately, he had made a profit of over 100,000 lower-grade spiritual stones from selling spiritual wine, as otherwise, he wouldn't be able to afford all these things. After buying all these things, Zhou Sui rapidly left the treasure pavilion without uttering another word. However, his actions caught the eyes of the people in the treasure pavilion. Manager, this kid spent over 10,000 lower-grade spiritual stones to buy the first-grade pill master inheritance. How can he be so rich? A descendant of the Lu family asked in surprise. Even though he was part of the Lu family, he was only able to earn several thousand lower-grade spiritual stones in a year. The Lu family was, of course, a large family, but they also had many descendants. Divided among them, they didn't have much. Compared to Zhou Sui, who was very wealthy, he was a pauper. If I'm guessing correctly, this kid should be a loose cultivator who lucked into a windfall and thus could afford to spend lavishly. Manager Liu Ming's eyes flashed with a cold glint. A loose cultivator? How do you know he's a loose cultivator? The Lu family member asked in confusion. Foolish. If he were truly a sect disciple, or a family member, why wouldn't he have a first-grade alchemy heritage? He wouldn't need spiritual stones to obtain one. Only a loose cultivator, who does not have any heritage, would reluctantly spend a large amount of spiritual stones to buy knowledge of an inheritance. Manager Liu Ming spoke impatiently. I see, so if that's the case, wouldn't we make a fortune if we robbed this loose cultivator? The Lu family member's eyes lit up with excitement. Looking at this kid, it seems like 12,000 lower-grade spiritual stones is not all he has. Maybe he has more. If we were successful in robbing him, we would certainly strike it rich. He was starting to succumb to his desire for wealth and willingness to kill. It's not just that. This kid is so rich that perhaps he has gained the inheritance and entire fortune of a foundation establishment cultivator. If we can kill him, our harvest will be much larger than imagined. Hehe, a mere loose cultivator possesses so much wealth. This is simply a path towards death. His cultivation is only at the Qi cultivation 5th layer. It's nothing to worry about. Now, you guys follow him immediately, mobilize a few Qi cultivation 7th layer and 8th layer experts. Once this kid is alone, make your move. Kill him and take his treasures. I want the spiritual stones and the goods. Manager Liu Ming clenched his fists. Truthfully, he originally had no intentions of robbing and killing. But recently, the Lu family has become unstable. The Lu family's patriarch, Lu Hongguan, was about to pass away. Most of the Lu family's property had to be handed over to Immortal Mist sect to save the lives of the Lu family members. And so far, the Lu family has not produced any new foundation establishment cultivators. Previously, in order to produce foundation establishment cultivators, a significant amount of their wealth was spent buying foundation pills. Unfortunately, the descendants of the Lu family were not competent enough, and even with the foundation pills, they failed to advance, causing severe loss to the Lu family. The family's mood had become gloomy. If things continued on this way, the Lu family would be finished. Therefore, for the sake of their family, they had to resort to all sorts of means to accumulate wealth, hoping to buy more foundation pills. Recently, the many robbers and murders in Misty Cloud City were related to the Lu family. It can be said, for the continuation of the family, the Lu family had no alternative but to resort to these schemes. Yes, manager. That Lu family member was elated. If they successfully executed the robbery, he could share part of the profits. At least he would gain several thousand lower-grade spiritual stones. You should know that he previously had to work an entire year to earn that much. But now, one successful robbery operation could get him that amount. This was a dream come true. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Immediately, 3 Qi cultivation 7th layer and 1 Qi cultivation 8th layer cultivators from the Lu family set off, tracking Zhou Sui's aura, attempting to find Zhou Sui's whereabouts to pilfer this loose cultivator's entire fortune. Chapter 38, Counterkill the Lu family's cultivator, enter the dream and soul search. At that moment, right after Zhou Sui left the treasure pavilion, he immediately sensed a few gazes falling onto himself from within the pavilion, seemingly with ill intentions. Joking, right? Didn't they say the treasure pavilion is the most reputable shop throughout Misty Cloud City? There's never been an incident of someone getting killed and robbed, so what's going on now? Right, maybe there actually have been incidents. It's just that those robbed were already deceased. The dead naturally have no way to reveal the truth. Damn it, Treasure Pavilion. They dare to call themselves the masters of Misty Cloud City. Even though they're already the city lord, they're still into killing and plundering, shameless to the extreme. Zhou Sui clenched his fist. Though he had braced himself for such an event to a certain extent, he still felt a sorrow for this world. This world isn't devoid of decent people, just that they're too few. Even if there are, most probably have been killed, not leaving much chance for survival. His previous caution was indeed correct. Without sufficient power, it was truly suicidal to reveal possession of a significant amount of spiritual stones. Now, he merely revealed tens of thousands of lower-grade spiritual stones that attracted enemies in his wake. The Lu family, the former overlords of Misty Cloud City, had him in their sights. However, now there were no hints of him being terrified. Because now he isn't as he previously was. Having advanced to the 5th level of Qi cultivation, his cultivation underwent a significant leap, especially his dream soul Gu, which had reached a first-grade superior level, equivalent to the cultivator of late Qi cultivation. How can an ordinary late Qi cultivation cultivator withstand the power of the dream soul Gu? An attack from the soul isn't easy to resist. To those cultivators at the stage of Qi cultivation, it's like fighting on a higher plane. Of less importance now, this was only a clone of him. If he should fail, it would only result in the loss of a clone, which wouldn't harm his main body. Humph, if you wish to kill me, you'd better be prepared to be killed. A cold glint in Zhou Sui's eyes revealed itself, but he acted as if he hadn't noticed the range of those Lu family cultivators following him. He moved left and right, arriving at an isolated alley in Misty Cloud City, where few people ventured. The Lu family cultivators who had followed him were delighted. What's going on? What is this lad trying to do running left and right like this? I had thought this man was going to leave the city. I had planned to deal with him outside the city, but he chose to stay within. This lad probably thought he would be safer within the city, ignorant of the fact that this is our Lu family's territory. Hehe. This loose cultivator surely has a significant secret, maybe he got the inheritance of some foundation establishment cultivator. Otherwise, how could he suddenly produce so many spiritual stones? Whether there is a secret or not, we just need to capture him and put him through severe torture. There is no need to guess anything. Perfect, he's so foolish to come to this desolate place. Also, there's no one nearby, perfect to strike immediately and capture him. I'm interested in seeing what he is hiding. The eyes of the 3 Lu family cultivators at the 7th level of Qi cultivation and one at the 8th level, were filled with a ruthless light. They did not hesitate to launch their magic to attack Zhou Sui. Booming! Instantly, there emerged a wave of secret soul fluctuations in the air, instantly covering hundreds of meters radius, completely enveloping the entire area. What? The 4 Lu family cultivators were stupefied. They were taken aback to find their bodies unable to move, as if under the effect of the fixation skill, trapped in an illusion. The problem was, they had no idea when they were targeted. Each of them stood dumbly, their mouths gaping like idiots, as if they had seen the things they desired most in their hearts. This was the one of the capabilities of the Dream Soul Gu, Dream Invasion. Once this skill is used, it can silently pull all the enemies within range into a dreamland. The power of a first-grade superior Dream Soul Gu is indeed immense. At this moment, the voice of Zhou Sui's clone appeared in front of the Lu family cultivators. He was astonished by the power of the Dream Soul Gu. For the ordinary late Qi cultivation cultivator, it's truly overwhelming. Without a soul-protecting magic artifact, cultivators are almost doomed to die from a single blow, with no chance of resistance. Merely with a thought, these Lu family cultivators were instantly pulled into a dream, without a shred of power to resist. Die! Zhou Sui didn't have any interest in exchanging words with these Lu family cultivators. With a light touch, the energy of True Yuan pierced through the brows of these 4 Lu cultivators, creating bloody holes with blood gushing out. This. When did you notice us? Impossible, how could a mere loose cultivator be so powerful? It's fake, right? We are dead? When did he make a move? The immense pain allowed these 4 Lu family cultivators to pull themselves out of the dreamland. They saw Zhou Sui who had appeared in front of them, their pupils contracted, reflecting their extreme horror. They had absolutely no idea that their whereabouts had been exposed. The realization dawned upon them at this moment that this seemingly insignificant cultivator in front of them was playing the part of a pig to eat the tiger. But now, it was already too late for struggle and for regret. With a bang, they fell to the ground, their eyes wide open in disbelief, refusing to close even in death. Soul Search. Without any hesitation, Zhou Sui used the second ability of Dream Soul Gu, Soul Search. This ability was even more ruthless than the Soul Search technique of the demonic sect. The demonic sect's Soul Search technique could only get a part of the memory, and most of the memory would be missing, making it sometimes impossible to gain the desired intelligence. But the Soul Search ability of the Dream Soul Gu could glean the complete soul memory from the enemy, not missing even a bit. Whoosh! Instantly, a vast memory flowed into the body of the Dream Soul Gu, which was then digested and absorbed by it. Simultaneously, the energy of the pure soul was devoured by the Dream Soul Gu, to augment its inner strength and to promote its evolution. Apart from relying on its host to grow, it can also devour the souls of other creatures to promote its own growth. So it's like that. It's indeed the Lu family cultivators. I hadn't expected the prestigious Lu family to stoop so low, almost equivalent to looters. Moreover, the recent chaos in Misty Cloud City, it turns out, has a significant connection with the Lu family, who might even be the puppeteers behind it all. No cultivator's family is decent. In an instant, Zhou Sui, with the retrieved memories of the Lu family cultivators, understood the full picture. The man pulling the strings was Lu Ming, the owner of the treasure pavilion. Due to the current unfavorable situation of the Lu family, where the old ancestors were on the verge of perishing, the Lu family was desperate. In the shadows, they'd become like looters, murdering loose cultivators one by one, and amassing wealth. He happened to be one of those who had caught their attention. Chapter 39. The Lu family in turmoil, dare not retaliate. Sensing the memories of a few cultivators from the Lu family, Zhou Sui immediately drew a sharp breath. Though he had known long ago that this world was fraught with danger, a cruel world where people preyed on each other, he never thought that the Lu family, the ruler of Misty Cloud City, could be so vicious. If he hadn't been extremely careful, he likely would have been killed in the turmoil deliberately fomented by the Lu family. After returning home, I must seclude myself and improve my cultivation, he resolved. I won't leave the house until I've reached the late Qi cultivation stage. Zhou Sui clenched his fists, a sense of urgency surging within him. Without a doubt, the Lu family had completely lost their minds, and if their patriarch should fall, the whole family could be exterminated. As prominent as the Lu family had been in the past, so would be the tragedy after their patriarch's death. Even if the Lu family sought the protection of the immortal mist sect, the number that would survive would still be few and far between. After all, the immortal mist sect wasn't a retirement home. They couldn't possibly protect every member of the Lu family, only those who were valuable. But the Lu family was so large, having grown over the course of 200 years to a population of over 10,000. Surely they couldn't let everyone but the family heirs die. He was aware of this, and the people of the Lu family must know it as well. Thus, before the patriarch's death, these members of the Lu family would certainly grab as much as they could. Once they've gotten enough, they would promptly flee from Misty Cloud City to settle elsewhere under a changed name. Thankfully, these storage bags don't have any markings left by the Lu family. Zhou Sui, using the Dream Soul Gu, scanned with his divine sense and discerned that these storage bags, owned by 4 cultivators from the Lu family, bore no traces left by the Lu family. After all, his divine sense was on par with that of a Foundation establishment cultivator, they couldn't hide anything from him. He would detect anything left by ordinary Qi cultivation stage cultivators in an instant. Moreover, the Lu family was merely a Foundation establishment family that had thousands of descendants. Apart from a few important family members, the rest probably wouldn't have any special protection measures. Also, items he bought from the treasure pavilion like the heritage jade record, the pill prescriptions, the pill cauldrons, amongst others, had been scanned by his divine sense. They bore no special markings. Nevertheless, it's better to be safe than sorry. Cultivators in this world have numerous and bizarre tactics. One never knows when they might be caught off guard. First, have my clone take these treasures out of the city. When some time has passed and there is no sign of trouble, then it can return. Zhou Sui waved his hand, casting the fireball technique to instantly incinerate the corpses of the 4 Lu family cultivators, reducing them to ashes. He then flew towards the outskirts of the city. Since he was just a clone, even if the Lu family did find him, they'd only destroy his clone. As long as he gets out of the city and hides in an arbitrary location, he believes nobody would be able to find him. This way, he wouldn't involve his main body. But before going, he handed over the storage bag, which stored a large amount of spirit meat and spirit rice, to another one of his clones to take back to his main body. After all, these supplies had nothing to do with the Lu family. There was no chance they bore any hidden tactics, they were completely safe to take back to his main body. In fact, Zhou Sui could currently cultivate up to 5 clones. One clone was in charge of surveillance, one was responsible for shopping, one was responsible for support, and 2 were on standby. A few hours later, Lu Ming, the shopkeeper staying at the treasure pavilion, looked extremely unwell. The more time passed, the worse his countenance became. To the point now where his face resembled charred coal, he was in utter panic. They still haven't returned at this time, could they already be dead? Shopkeeper Lu Ming clenched his fist. Under normal circumstances, 4 cultivators in the late Qi cultivation stage ambushing a cultivator in the Qi cultivation 5th layer should have been an easy catch. It shouldn't have taken much time at all. But now, hours had passed with no sign of his subordinate's return. Without a doubt, his men were likely dead or dying. It seems I underestimated that loose cultivator. That bastard isn't a Qi cultivation 5th layer cultivator at all. He's definitely at the late Qi cultivation stage, or even possibly a great cultivator at the Qi cultivation 9th layer. Shopkeeper Lu Ming took a deep breath, knowing he had definitely misjudged this time. Just one misjudgment had led to the loss of 4 cultivators in the late Qi cultivation stage. The loss was massive. To the already precarious Lu family, this was a heavy blow. Upon realizing this, he knew that this matter was far too serious to be resolved by himself. If the Lu family elders found out about this, he would undoubtedly be sentenced to death. So he quickly made his way to the Lu family and sought out the eldest elder of the Lu family, informing him of the situation. With a smack, upon hearing these words, the eldest elder of the Lu family slapped Lu Ming in the face, knocking him to the ground. 5 distinct red finger imprints appeared on his face, he was close to spitting out his teeth. You idiot, I have already told you that now is a precarious time for our Lu family. If a matter can be avoided it should be, but instead you went to be a bandit, and you even got 4 late Qi cultivation stage cultivators of our family killed. The eldest elder of the Lu family was livid. I'm sorry, elder, I had no choice. It's precisely because the Lu family is in a precarious situation, and we're greatly short of spirit stones. Just by conducting business, how much can we possibly earn? The reason why I acted as a bandit was also for the sake of the Lu family. I wanted to earn more spirit stones so that the Lu family could buy another foundation pill and give birth to another foundation establishment cultivator. Shopkeeper Lu Ming knelt on the ground, crying bitterly, claiming that he had no selfish motives and that he was acting for the public good. You. Hearing these words, the Lu family's eldest elder's hand trembling with anger, but in the end, he sighed and showed mercy. Because he knew that the man was telling the truth. After all, not only was he acting as a bandit at the moment, but many of the Lu family members were as well. It was only because Lu Ming failed that he was being rebuked. If he had succeeded, there would be no issue at all. Elder, we must avenge them. They are members of our Lu family, and now they've been killed by that loose cultivator. That's a slap in the face to us. I want that loose cultivator to die. Also, I've tampered with that heritage jade record, leaving a unique scent. As long as we use scent bugs, we can track it, and find that loose cultivator's weak spot. Shopkeeper Lu Ming's eyes were filled with a hateful glare as he roared his desire for revenge. Enough. Let this matter go. Don't hunt down the loose cultivator. The Lu family's eldest elder waved his hand. Why? Shopkeeper Lu Ming was shocked. He never thought the Lu family would give up on hunting down the murderer. This was inconsistent with the domineering style and character of the Lu family. Foolish, can't you understand yet? If that loose cultivator can instantly kill 4 late Qi cultivation stage cultivators from our Lu family, his cultivation level must be at least at the Qi cultivation 9th layer. Unless we send out a number of our Lu family Qi cultivation 9th layer cultivators, we can't do anything to him. In fact, we might even be killed in return by him. The eldest elder of the Lu family wore a grave expression. Chapter 40, Certainly, other foundation establishment families are fishing. Upon hearing this, shopkeeper Lu Ming was silenced immediately, it indeed was so. Given the power of that loose cultivator, killing the mysterious loose cultivator was not a straightforward task. Besides, who knows what methods this mysterious loose cultivator has. If they aren't careful, it's likely that the Lu family will lose even more late Qi cultivators. And that could be a disaster for the Lu family. And the most important point is, how do you know for sure that it's a loose cultivator and not from another family? You were out fishing, killing loose cultivators, unaware that others might also be out fishing, plotting to kill our Lu family cultivators. A cultivator who can deceive you surely isn't simple, right? The Lu family elder sneered, pointing out the most critical issue. This. Shopkeeper Lu Ming suddenly felt a chill running down his spine as if a bucket of cold water poured from head to toe, because he could not confirm whether the mysterious cultivator was really a loose cultivator. What if it was from another family, acting as bait to kill the Lu family? What should they do then? He really needs to consider this matter carefully. Has that loose cultivator already left Misty Cloud City? The Lu family elder asked. Yes, he has indeed left Misty Cloud City. Shopkeeper Lu Ming nodded his head. That's right, this loose cultivator is doubtless bait, with the aim of tempting our Lu family cultivators out of the city to assassinate us. If they can kill us Qi cultivation nineth layer cultivators, then the Lu family has no chance of fostering a foundation establishment cultivator. These foundation establishment families are ruthless indeed. The Lu family elder commented quietly. He knows how ruthless the Lu family has been over the years, and how many foundation establishment families they have offended. Now, these foundation establishment families are watching the decline of the Lu family, all want to take advantage of their misfortune. Could it be that these cultivating families are so cruel? Shopkeeper Lu Ming clenched his fists. Humph, they're more ruthless than you can imagine. I think that loose cultivator as a bait, even wants to entice our Lu family's ancestor. The Lu family elder's eyes showed a trace of chilliness. Try to think about it. If even the Qi cultivation nineth layer cultivators can't handle it and we lose several Qi cultivation nineth layer elders, wouldn't our Lu family ancestor have to take action? The problem is, as soon as they make their move and leave Misty Cloud City, they would fall into the enemy's trap. Perhaps these foundation establishment cultivators are planning to attack our Lu family ancestor. Even if they don't kill the ancestor, they will seriously damage his vitality. If the ancestor tries to hang on, he could live for a few more years, but once he makes a move and his vitality leaks out, he might not be able to survive even a few months. By that time, wouldn't our Lu family be finished? Indeed. Shopkeeper Lu Ming was sweating profusely. If the Lu family ancestor died, then he and the rest of the Lu family cultivators would likely be wiped out by the other foundation establishment families. Except for a few clan members, none might survive. He never expected such vast conspiracies and trickery behind a simple loose cultivator. A small misstep could lead to the destruction of the Lu family. How vicious is this plot? Of course, there is another possibility. The mysterious loose cultivator is genuinely a loose cultivator who coincidentally obtained a heritage and gained considerable combat power and ended up killing several Lu family cultivators. The problem is, with the Lu family currently in a precarious state, on the brink of destruction, we simply cannot take that risk. If we lose the bet, it would be all over. Even if we win, there's not much benefit. It's just killing a loose cultivator. The Lu family elder said quietly. I understand, elder. Shopkeeper Lu Ming nodded. He was not a fool. He knew exactly what the elder meant. The Lu family is too weak, there are no new foundation establishment cultivators, and it could collapse at any moment. Even if the opponent is truly just a loose cultivator with no conspiracy behind him, the Lu family cannot take action. Because the most crucial thing for the Lu family right now is to foster a new foundation establishment cultivator. Other than that, they cannot intervene in anything else. They can only hunker down inside Misty Cloud City. Relying on Misty Cloud City's second-tier formation, other foundation establishment families also dare not act recklessly. The Lu family must be turtles hiding in their shells right now. Of course, the situation would be entirely different if a new foundation establishment cultivator emerges from the Lu family. They would settle both old grudges and new resentments. A month passed in the blink of an eye. As some late-stage Qi cultivation cultivators from the Lu family died and there was no behind-the-scenes mastermind stirring things up, the entire Misty Cloud City seemed to regain its former tranquility, and street killings became increasingly rare. Misty Cloud City seemed to gradually return to its former prosperity with a large number of loose cultivators flooding into the city. At this moment, Zhou Sui was also at home practicing bitterly, while his clone remained hidden in a cave outside the city keeping a low profile. Since it's a clone, fundamentally a clone goo, as offspring worm, it's an insect, not needing food or even air. As long as the main body is alive, the clone will also be alive. So this clone, like a lifeless object, hid in the cave without any movement. Strange, the Lu family doesn't seem to be moving. They haven't sent anyone to find my clone. Could it be that the Lu family did not do anything? Zhou Sui stroked his chin. Originally, he had prepared for his clone to die. After all, facing the formidable power of the Lu family, he had nowhere to hide. But he waited for a whole month without any movement. It seemed as if the death of a few late-stage Qi cultivation cultivators meant nothing to the Lu family, which had no intention of revenge. They didn't even issue a wanted notice, as though nothing had happened at all. No, it can't be concluded like this. Who knows if the Lu family is just fishing waiting for my main body to appear and then catch me all at once. It would be better to remain cautious. 3 months, at least 3 more months. If the Lu family still has no reaction, then there's nothing to worry about. Zhou Sui's eyes gleamed. He didn't want to take any risk, even the smallest risk. He himself was practicing peacefully, he could achieve immortality, there was no need to take risks. Anyway, the treasure was here, it wouldn't run away. He could take it whenever he wanted. There was no need to rush. In this dangerous cultivation world, one must always tread on thin ice. Being careful is always better than being careless. No one knows how many cultivators have died unexpectedly due to a moment of carelessness. He would not make the same mistakes. Thinking of this, Zhou Sui looked at his virtual panel subconsciously. Host, Zhou Sui, Cultivation, Qi Cultivation 5th Layer, Progress 45%, Life, 19, 120, years. Aptitude, 8-stage Spiritual Root, 75%. Swordsmanship, 1st Grade Superior, 55%. Rune, Mid-1st Grade Superior, 65%. Phantasma Transformation Skill, Proficient, 35%. Fireball Technique, Minor Accomplishment, 35%. Wind Blade Art, Beginner. Golden Light Skill, Beginner. Ice Frost Skill, Beginner. Spring Wind Rain Skill, Beginner. Clearly, after a month of intense cultivation, his cultivation level has improved quite a bit.